Welcome to the Real Crime Diary, Daily Dose of Crime. Today we dive into a shocking case that turned a respected institution into a crime scene. What happens when those entrusted with protecting our beloved attractions become the predators? Brace yourselves for a tale of greed, betrayal, and corruption that rocked the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium to its very core. Our story takes place at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, a beloved institution known for its conservation efforts and family-friendly attractions. But behind the scenes, a sinister plot was unfolding. For over a decade, a financial scandal of massive proportions was brewing, hidden from the public eye. At the center of this tale of greed and betrayal is Tom Stalf, the former CEO of the zoo. Stalf, once respected as a leader in wildlife conservation, now stands accused of orchestrating a criminal enterprise that shook the very foundation of this esteemed organization. The scandal, which came to light recently, has sent shockwaves through the community. How could such corruption persist for so long in a place dedicated to education and animal welfare? As we delve deeper into this case, we'll uncover a web of deceit that spans years and involves millions of dollars in misappropriated funds. Stalf's fall from grace is a stark reminder that even the most trusted figures can succumb to the allure of greed. But how did it all begin? And what allowed this deception to continue unchecked for so long? In a Delaware County courtroom, the tension was palpable as former Columbus Zoo CEO Tom Stalf stood before Judge David Gormley. The once respected leader of one of Ohio's most beloved institutions now faced the consequences of his actions in a decade-long financial scandal. As the prosecutor and a zoo spokeswoman delivered scathing remarks, Stalf remained stoic, his head bowed, taking notes. The gravity of the situation was clear to everyone present. Then came the moment of truth. Judge Gormley sentenced Stalf to 7 years in prison for aggravated theft and conspiracy. The courtroom fell silent as the weight of the decision sank in. 7 years behind bars for a man who once oversaw the care of exotic animals and the joy of countless visitors. But this was no ordinary theft. This was a calculated criminal enterprise that had siphoned off $2.3 million from the zoo over a decade. The judge's decision reflected the severity of the betrayal. As Stalf expressed his remorse, questions lingered in the air. How did this happen? How did a respected CEO fall so far? And perhaps most importantly, how deep did this web of corruption truly go? The scope of this crime is truly staggering. For an entire decade, Tom Stalf and his accomplices orchestrated a criminal enterprise that siphoned off millions of dollars from the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. The prosecution didn't mince words, calling it a calculated and premeditated thievery that left a profound trail of mistrust. At the heart of this scheme was a staggering $2.3 million theft. But how did they manage to pull it off for so long? The answer lies in a web of deceit that touched nearly every aspect of the zoo's operations. Stalf, as the CEO, had his fingers in every pot. He helped himself to thousands of dollars worth of the zoo's alcohol, treating the institution's resources as his personal bar. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. In a brazen move, he even purchased an RV with zoo money, blurring the lines between personal and professional expenses. One of the most insidious aspects of the scheme was the bartering system they put in place. Zoo tickets were exchanged for cash value, which was then used for various zoo expenses, housing perks, and other benefits. This system allowed them to move money around without raising immediate suspicion. But Stalf wasn't working alone. The former CFO, Greg Bell, was also deeply involved, as were other high-ranking officials. They created what was described as an animal house atmosphere at the zoo, where rules were bent and broken with alarming regularity. What's perhaps most shocking is how long this went on without detection. From 2011 to 2021, these individuals exploited their positions of trust, all while presenting a facade of responsible leadership to the public. It was a betrayal not just of the zoo, but of the entire community that supported it. Now, let's delve into the murky waters of the zoo's culture that allegedly allowed this scandal to flourish. Stalf's defense team painted a picture of a permissive environment that predated his arrival. They claimed that a barter system, exchanging zoo tickets for cash value to be used for expenses, was already in place when Stalf joined in 2010. But how much of this was truly ingrained in the zoo's culture, and how much was a convenient excuse? The defense described an animal house atmosphere, where Stalf allegedly helped himself to thousands of dollars worth of the zoo's alcohol. This paints a startling image of a workplace where professional boundaries were blurred beyond recognition. The bartering system, if it indeed existed before Stalf, raises serious questions about financial oversight at the zoo. How could such practices go unchecked for so long? And if they were common knowledge, why didn't anyone raise the alarm? While the culture may have been permissive, it's crucial to note that Stalf, as CEO, had the power and responsibility to change it. Instead, prosecutors argue he not only perpetuated but expanded these questionable practices, turning them into a full-blown criminal enterprise. This case forces us to consider how organizational culture can either prevent or enable corruption. It's a stark reminder that leadership sets the tone, and when that tone is one of entitlement and excess, the consequences can be devastating. While Tom Stalf may have been the ringleader of this audacious scheme, he certainly didn't act alone. The web of corruption at the Columbus Zoo stretched far beyond just one man. Let's start with Greg Bell, the former chief financial officer. He's already been sentenced to 3 years in prison for his part in the scandal. As CFO, Bell was in a prime position to manipulate the zoo's finances and cover up the misuse of funds. Then we have Peter Fingerhut, the former marketing director. He's pleaded guilty and is awaiting sentencing later this month. Fingerhut's role in marketing likely gave him control over promotional resources that could have been misused or bartered away. But the network doesn't stop there. Grant Bell, Greg Bell's son, was a purchasing agent for the zoo. He's been given community control for his involvement. Tracy Murnane, who was in charge of purchasing, received a similar sentence. This network of corruption operated like a well-oiled machine, with each player using their position to facilitate the theft and cover-up. It's a stark reminder of how a few bad actors in key positions can compromise an entire organization. The question remains, are there others still to be implicated? As investigations continue, it's possible that more names could come to light, further expanding the scope of this shocking scandal. The aftermath of this scandal has left the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium reeling, with a profound trail of mistrust snaking through its once pristine reputation. This beloved institution, once a crown jewel of Central Ohio, now finds itself tarnished by the actions of those entrusted with its care. For the employees of the zoo, the revelation of such widespread corruption among their leadership must be devastating. Many dedicated workers who poured their hearts into caring for animals and educating the public now find themselves questioning everything about their workplace. The sense of betrayal is palpable, and rebuilding morale will be a monumental task. The wider community, too, has been deeply affected. For years, families have made cherished memories at the Columbus Zoo. Now, those memories are tinged with the knowledge that while they were marveling at exotic animals, the zoo's leadership was engaged in exotic financial maneuvers of their own. The trust between the zoo and its patrons has been severely damaged. So how does an institution recover from such a betrayal? It will take time, transparency, and a complete overhaul of leadership and financial practices. The zoo must demonstrate a commitment to ethical management that goes above and beyond industry standards. Only through consistent, honest communication and a dedication to its core mission can the Columbus Zoo hope to regain the trust of its employees, its community, and the animal lovers who once saw it as a beacon of conservation and education. The Columbus Zoo scandal serves as a stark reminder of the importance of robust oversight in nonprofit organizations. While we often think of zoos and similar institutions as bastions of conservation and education, this case demonstrates that they are not immune to financial misconduct. One key lesson is the need for stronger checks and balances. No single individual, regardless of their position, should have unchecked control over an organization's finances. Regular independent audits and a system of multiple approvals for large expenditures could have caught this misconduct much earlier. Another crucial point is the role of organizational culture. The defense's claim of a permissive atmosphere at the zoo highlights how important it is to foster a culture of integrity and accountability from the top down. Clear ethical guidelines and whistleblower protections can encourage employees to speak up when they notice irregularities. Transparency is also vital. Nonprofits should make their financial records easily accessible to board members and the public. This openness can deter potential wrongdoers and help restore trust when scandals do occur. Lastly, this case underscores the need for board members to be actively engaged in oversight. They must be willing to ask tough questions and challenge leadership when necessary. By implementing these measures, we can hope to prevent similar scandals and protect the vital work of non-profit organizations. As we wrap up this shocking tale of greed and betrayal at the Columbus Zoo, we're left with many questions. Could this crime have been detected sooner? Were there warning signs that were overlooked? And what do you think about the sentences handed down to Stalf and his accomplices? Were they too harsh or not harsh enough? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Share your opinions in the comments section below. And if you're hungry for more true crime stories like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. For those of you who want to dive even deeper into cases like these, we've got some great news. We've just released our latest true crime books, packed with in-depth analyses of fascinating cases. You can find the link to check them out in the description below. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed. This is MHB signing off from The Real Crime Diary. Power, Pleasure, and Pain. A study of abuse through time. This book provides a detailed examination of how sexual violence and power dynamics have manifested across different historical periods, from ancient civilizations to the modern era. It explores how figures in positions of power used their influence to manipulate and exploit others, showing that the patterns of abuse we see today have deep historical roots. Many people struggle to grasp why abuse of power, particularly sexual violence, persists in modern society. By connecting historical events with contemporary cases, the book offers crucial insights into why such behaviors remain prevalent. The book analyzes infamous cases such as those of Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Dominique Pellicotte, drawing parallels between them and historical figures. This section highlights how the systemic abuse seen in recent times is not a new phenomenon, but part of an ongoing cultural issue. Through the lens of these modern examples, readers will gain a better understanding of how institutions, wealth, and power have historically shielded perpetrators from justice, contributing to their ability to continue harming others. The book explores the philosophy of libertarianism, particularly through the works of Marquis de Sade, to explain the disturbing ways in which pleasure, power, and cruelty have been intertwined. This provides readers with a deeper philosophical context to interpret modern-day scandals. Unlike other studies that focus solely on historical or contemporary cases, this book uniquely blends both, offering a full spectrum of how abuse is tied to power dynamics. It stands out by making philosophical connections that help readers understand the deeper societal issues at play.